I love hot hatchbacks, but they are so common. There are plenty of them out there on the roads nowadays. So today we're going to look at 5 cars that cost less than £10,000. They're all hot hatchbacks, or warm hatches to some extent, and they're all pretty rare special editions. So no more faff, hit like if you like this kind of video, subscribe as well if you're new. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. For a time, the Twingo is one of the most common hire cars available as a cheap and cheerful runaround car, but a small package is perfect for Renault. It's where they cook up their best hot hatches. Think about the Renault 5 GT Turbo for example, and the Twingo platform enabled the brand to bring out the Renault Sport model, a punchier example of that car. But that's not a special edition at all. There were plenty of Twingo Renault Sports available. Instead, it was a special edition of the Renault Sport that I wanted to talk about in this video, the Gordini, which came with that same 1.6 litre inline-4 engine, making 131 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 8.4 seconds. Not crazy fast or anything, but this car captures what old school hot hatches were all about, being small, lightweight and fun to bash around in with just enough power to let you absolutely thrash them around everywhere. This came with the second generation Twingo, which I personally think is the best platform for a warm hatch like this anyway, given the far boxier stylings and the curvaceous third gen, and it wasn't the first Renault to take the Gordini badge or stylings. Back in 1964, the Renault 8 Gordini appeared as a high-performance variant of the 8, in a very familiar-looking blue with white stripes. That same aesthetic formula has of course been applied to this Twingo Gordini, but unfortunately where the 8 came with more power than even the base-level performance Renault 8, the Twingo Gordini has the exact same stats as the standard Twingo RS. It would have been cool to have seen Renault add some additional power and performance to the car, but whatever. It was limited to just 200 UK cars and was significantly more expensive than the RS, almost £2,000 more expensive to be exact when new, but then it also came with features that you simply couldn't get on a top spec RS, like the leather seats. £4,500 is the minimum I could find these listed for, and 10k is way more than enough to get into a low mileage model. Ball joints offer the most well-known problem on these, but they're a pretty cheap replacement. Outside of that, some sensors are known to go wrong, and some owners have complained about miles per gallon figures. I've never been a huge fan of the smallest VWs. The Up, for example, doesn't do it for me, and neither did the old school Lupo. But then when the GTI models of both of these cars show up, I am always gassed. There are plenty of Up GTIs out on the roads nowadays, but the Lupo GTI remains a pretty rare offering, and in my opinion, it's actually a cooler car still, with the only major benefit of the Up GTI being the age and therefore the equipment it comes with. The Lupo GTI comes with a 1.6 litre inline-4 engine, making 123 brake horsepower, which will get it to 60 in 8 seconds, which again isn't quick, but is much more in line with the performance you'd expect out of one of the most well-loved classic VWs, the Mark I Golf GTI. And what makes it even more interesting is that many reviewers named this car a true successor to that Mark I GTI because of these figures, and the smaller dimensions of the car, naming it a proper hot hatch, in the way that hot hatches were meant to be. Yes, if hot means fast, there were far faster hatches available at the time, but if hot meant something more than fast, a way of handling, a size, a way to drive and enjoy the car, the Lupo GTI definitely turned enough heads in the industry, and today they continue to turn heads on the roads of people in the know. It was a pretty purposeful bit of kit with its aluminium panels around the front to keep it lightweight and the uprated suspension. I have heard owners complain about the seats not offering enough support for fast cornering though, so bucket seat replacements are quite popular. I would try to get one from post March 2002, after which VW fitted a 6-speed manual box and fitted with some of the other parts of the car to have better throttle response and the likes. They run you around £7,000 at the bottom end, with 10k getting you a 2006 model that's done around 50,000 miles. As is typical of many VWs of its time, burning oil is not unheard of and coil packs are known to fail. The 5-speed gearbox has also had reported synchro issues and rust can appear on the roof, but generally it's known to be reliable. I've spoken many times about the stunning Alfa Romeo 147 GTA, which is a lovely hot hatch for the money, one of my favourites in fact, but much rarer and arguably cooler as a result is this, the little bread van looking 145 Cloverleaf, which is now impossible to come by nowadays. The only one I could find was this for £10,000 from 2000 with 100,000 miles on the clock, and for that money you'll be getting yourself a 2 litre inline-4 engine that makes 155 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 8 seconds, pretty reasonable for a car of its size and perfect for B-road bashing. Now for my European viewers, the reason why I'm calling it the Cloverleaf is because in the UK that's exactly what it was called, despite it having the well-known quadrifolio badge in Europe. It was an easier name to remember clearly for us Brits when it arrived in September 1995 at the Frankfurt Motor Show, just before my birthday in fact, and it went on sale just after my birthday. Compared to the standard 145, it was pretty well equipped, with bits like ABS, leather on the steering wheel and shifter, and some Momo sports seats too, plus of course aesthetically it came with the more aggressive body kit. Originally it was going to be the replacement for the Lancia Delta before Fiat Group's design director decided the bread van shape should get an Alfa Romeo badge instead, and its designer was actually the famous Chris Bangle, the same man responsible for the divisive Bangle butt we see on many BMWs today, and also some incredible cars of the past like the Fiat Coupe and BMW Z8. It's an insanely rare car today, with just 59 of them on the roads here in the UK and 191 of them sawned by collectors looking to keep them for their potential future values. I do think it's effectively a classic already too, given how you have to look after them. That's because the biggest problem with these is rust. It's typically found around the rear axle and can cause early onset death. Outside of that, yes, it's an old Alfa, so the list of potential problems is long. If you buy one, buy it because you want to look after it and love it, not because it's your next daily. So I hope you guys are enjoying this video. If you have, then do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new. And let me know in the comments down below, would you prefer to have a very fast hot hatch or one that's very fun? So by that I mean not necessarily as fast as some of the ones on this video, but still great to drive. This is a rogue addition to this list, but the Fiat Stilo Schumacher GP is an incredibly rare little hatchback that comes with an incredibly cool engine, a 2.4 litre inline-5 block that sounds wonderful and puts out 170 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 7.9 seconds. On the roads in the UK at the end of 2023, there were just 36 of these licensed and out driving around. There were also 71 sawned examples. That means just 107 of these little hatches exist, at least here in the UK, and so for the values you can get them at, you're getting one of the rarest and cheapest warm hatches for the money. And one of the reasons why it's so cheap is that the Stilo itself was a total sales flop. In fact, it appeared in The Economist in 2013 as one of Europe's biggest loss-making cars. That's despite, of course, the Schumacher and Barrichello involvement in the sales campaign. Part of that flop was the Schumacher's fault too, not Michael himself of course, I mean the car. It was supposed to be a variant or a step up from the Abarth version, but it was far more costly, £2,600 more to be exact. It came as both the Schumacher and Schumacher GP, with the former lacking the ProDrive tuned suspension and the louder exhaust, but that wasn't enough to make up for that cost difference for most buyers, given you could go faster for less money with other brands, so probably for the best they kept these to a limited run of just 200 models. Either way though, personally I think having one of these is having part of motoring history, a car named after and marketed by one of the GOATs of F1, a car that flops so hard from a sales perspective, and a car that is genuinely unlikely to find anyone today who recognises or knows it exists. These start at around £2,000 from what I've seen, but again they're so hard to find out in the world you'll have to be very lucky to actually get into one. The main issues with these were typically related to either the electrics or the gearboxes. The latter was often referred to as being made of chocolate, and the former was just typically troublesome even earlier on in life. The Nürburgring is arguably one of the best challenges for any performance car. If your car can go fast around the ring, then it's probably pretty capable on track. That's why it was great to see Vauxhall come out with the VXR Nürburgring Edition after success around the ring back in 2005, managing a lap time of 8 minutes 35 seconds in what is quite a cool little hot hatch. That was the record for a hot hatch at the time, so it's amazing to see how much faster hot hatches will go today. But anyway, this Nürburgring success means that it's much faster than everything else on this list, unsurprisingly thanks to its 2 litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, which puts out 236 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.2 seconds, not bad. Now the standard VXR was known to be a very good hot hatch for the money on release, and it was incredibly popular, so what was the extra £1,500 premium getting you with the Nürburgring model other than the white paint and some checkered flag stickers? Well, you got loads of Nürburgring branding all around and a limited run of 835 models. It also got a new Remus exhaust which was tuned by Vauxhall's touring car team, and it has slightly wider track over the standard car with lower unsprung weight to the tune of 3 kg per corner, as well as 15 horsepower more than the standard VXR. It certainly wasn't a cheap car on release though, as it came on sale for a hair over £21,000, which does somehow feel much more expensive than the sub 20k non-Nürburgring model, but given it's a rarer model with just under 400 left on the roads here in the UK compared with the way less rare VXR, it might have been worth it. They'll run you around £6,500 at the bottom end, and 10k will get you a 2008 model with around 100k on the clock. 6th gear bearings are known to be weak, valve stem seals are also a weak spot, and turbos need maintenance and care to keep them running comfortably. It's not a reliable car as such, but at least all of the major problems are well known. And so there you have it, 5 cars, all very rare, all pretty special edition hot hatchbacks. If you want to see some more special hot hatchbacks for a slightly higher price range, then click up here, subscribe as well down here. Huge thanks to the patrons for their support, and you guys are all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.